Hey folks, Josh Ryan, Bantam Brio Farms, Eaton County, Michigan. However, this morning we're in Ionia County installing another one of our downforce kits over here in a 6-row planter. Met these folks at a Eaton County Conservation Field Day. Explained to me that they're having a little trouble getting the seed as deep as they like on their no-till acres. And I explained to them, hey, we got a solution for that. Had a little bit of a lead time on the parts, but we got them around, and we're getting them on this morning. I'll go through our status on that in a while. Been a little while. I don't think I posted any videos for the 2021 season. We were pretty hard at work, and every time we were, I just kept forgetting to get the phone out to take a quick video just to give you a progress update. But we're starting off early this season, and hope to take you along for the ride a little bit if we can and explain where we're at. We did have a really good 2021 season. You know, with bean prices the way they are, we still were able to make pretty good money. And on top of that, you know, with our soil health practices, we boosted our yields just a little bit, even though we cut back on inputs. So yeah, that could have been the year. We won't know until we have a couple more years of crops and see which direction our yields are going. But anyway, I'll give you a quick update on where we're at with this planter here, and show you a little bit more about it, and we'll go from there. Yeah, folks, this is where we're at here on the planter. Got all our new steel bracketry installed, basically left to just plumb it, you know, which we're going to have some air fittings that go in there. I use all push connects, so we just get fittings mounted and cut line lengths to however long you need and push it into the fittings, and we're done. Had pretty good luck with this unit here. Haven't took the wrapper off completely, but this Viair unit we use goes up to about 200 psi. Obviously we don't need to need all that. We plan at only about 50 to 60, but the nice thing is it allows you to use a nice compact tank. At 200 psi you still have quite a bit of air in there. I know on our 8-row unit, if I fill this up completely one time, I can even shut the compressor off, you know, just as a test or whatever, and open up our relief valve to start supplying the air pressure, and just one fill out of that tank gets the whole system almost up to that 50 to 60 mark. So compressor runs very little as long as you don't have any leaks. A couple details on this: the 2 air spring system. We did that just so it keeps the diameter a little narrower, and it's a little bit easier to package. I probably could come up with a 1 air spring system. Another reason it's 2 air springs is because when I was developing the system, those were the air springs that I had bought at a neighboring auction sale. I had enough of them to get the job done, so that's what we designed it around. Installing this fella here, it's all bolt on, pretty easy to handle. You just take one of your upper arms off and replace it. You know, if you do one at a time, then the whole row unit doesn't drop. So you replace your upper arms one at a time. Got to have a new one in order to get this pivot location up here. So that's the start of that. Once you got that in place, you can put this upper air spring bracket in. On the lower side, you might have a sprocket mounted here. That's part of the insecticide drive, I believe. My planter had it, this one did not. But have this, I call it the shark fin. This little shark fin bracket attaches onto there, and that gives us this lower pivot position. Once you got both of those in, you can put this lower air spring bracket in. It mounts up here, and once you have the upper and lowers mounted, we got just a couple phase links over here. And, you know, they're loose now, but what that does is, since you got this one pivot location up here, ties into the bottom. Not the best view, a little dark there. That ties in right here at the bottom of this bracket, and that's what holds the rotation of it, so that the 2 ends of your air spring are always looking at one another rather than the air spring being rigidly mounted. A lot of inefficiency there. You see that with other air kits today, especially a lot of the OEM ones. You know, they just mount rigid right to the frame somehow with some bracket, and the angle of that air spring doesn't continue to look at the other end of it all the time as your lower end is going through the sweep. So in order to get as much efficiency as possible, our brackets turn and pivot at one another, so your two ends of the air spring are constantly looking at each other. You can see here the angle this is mounted at and the angle that the upper is mounted at. So as this row unit goes from full down to full up, they're constantly looking at each other. Just gives us a little bit more efficiency. Like I said, this unit is capable at 100 psi, which, man, I wouldn't think you'd ever need it. 525 pounds of downforce on top of the weight of your row unit, which if you ever pick one of these up, pretty heavy. But yeah, anyway, getting back to it, you got an upper phase link for this bar here, and that just mounts to the row unit in one of the holes already existing. And then there's a lower phase link here that controls the rotation of the lower bar, and then that ties in to this bracket. Sorry here about the lighting, but got a diamond shaped bracket that bolts on right here, and that goes through pre-existing holes as well. And then the pivot bolt for the bracket goes right there. But these holes already exist as well, but I had to get a bracket in there in order to use that center location. It looks similar to what's on this side here. So on that other side we're using this bolt, and that's what the diamond bracket goes across in order to use the center and not have to use a, gosh, I don't know, 1 1/4 inch diameter there. Don't need that. So anyway, you get those steel parts on, mount up the air springs, plumb it, mount this compressor here, like I said, wire and fire. And the only thing you're not seeing here that's part of the kit would be your air pressure regulator, which is, you know, just a simple pressure valve like what you put on your standard air compressors at home. Control your line pressure. Pretty simple design, all bolt on. It doesn't take too long, especially if you got a buddy, a friend, an associate, somebody that can work ahead of you, putting the brackets on, another guy tightening stuff down as you work across the planer goes fairly decent, I think. So anyway, that's the highlights. That's what we're up to today, hopefully finishing the plumbing up, and we'll get her all mounted and get these guys off to a great 2022 season with their corn planting. So this is Josh Ryan, Bantam Brio Farms, signing off. Hope you folks are having a wonderful spring, and a little wet, but hopefully when it dries up, field conditions are great and we can just get her done.